heaven, West Virginia.
Hey guys, this is Matt, and today I'm going to show you an interview from OAN where they're interviewing a Trump organizer. Now, some of the stuff he's organized, like Trump rallies as well as Trump protests when it comes to what happened after November 3rd. One protest that's infamous he organized was January 6th. So obviously the January 6th committee is going after him. And not only that, that's not the only group there is. There's a few others as well he'll mention in the interview. And there's a few social media companies that have barred him from their social media platforms. So go ahead and check out the interview. After that, don't forget, hit like and subscribe. It helps the channel grow. Peace.
Ollie Alexander, you are an organizer of some of these Stop the Steal protests, protesting the election, and you have spent, I gather, 8 hours being deposed by this January 6th Select Committee on Capitol Hill. Why were they interested in you, an organizer, political activist from Fort Worth, Texas?
Shortly after the election on November 4th, when the Trump campaign fell apart and abandoned our president, we leapt into action. We, being influencers on Twitter, activists from the Tea Party days, got together and started election integrity protests. All we were saying is we want a fair election and transparent counting. This wasn't necessarily a pro-Trump movement, although it benefited him. It was a pro-our votes movement. And so those protests swept across the country. Then we called for people to go to the state capitals. And to our great surprise, all 50 state capitals had Stop the Steal sanctioned protests within days.
Paul Kamenar, you are counsel to Mr. Alexander, Washington, D.C. attorney. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with protesting?
Well, absolutely nothing's wrong with it. It's protected by the First Amendment.
How did Mr. Alexander get in trouble then, run crosswise, supposedly?
Well, he got in trouble because of the rallies that took place and the ensuing violence that took place at the Capitol building, which Mr. Alexander had nothing to do with. In fact, as we said in our statement to the committee and in his deposition, he took countermeasures to stop the violence. He was up there as he approached the Capitol after President Trump's speech. He saw what was going on the west side of the Capitol, and he went to his pre-assigned lot on the east side of the Capitol and saw some more violence breaking out, at which time the Capitol Police asked him to help calm the crowd down, to de-escalate it, which he did. And then finally, when it seemed it was out of control, he left there and I think came back to the top of your building here to tape and watch what was going on.
And you've actually got some video of this, is that right?
Yeah, I do. It's now kind of an infamous video, unfortunately, because what happened is that when you were at the Capitol and we're trying to de-escalate for 30 or 45 minutes, when we can't, we exit the scene because we don't want to be a magnet for the chaos and encourage people who are deeply confused. I didn't see any barricades. There were barely any police. There were a lot of people who got swept up in this who shouldn't have. And so when we exited, we came on top of your building and I began filming. And what I said is, I disavow and denounce the violence and the agitators who are inside. I refuse to denounce the peaceful protesters that were outside. What they did is they chopped out the part where it says, I do not denounce this, and they clicked up that video while Twitter had put a freeze on my account, and they said, Ali does not denounce the violence. So then I got kicked off Twitter, kicked off Facebook, kicked off PayPal.
And who was doing this?
This was, Twitter trolls. Twitter trolls. They weaponized the media through disinformation against me, and because of that, I've lost basically my livelihood. I had to leave my home because of Antifa death threats, and now I'm being investigated by the Select Committee that says, you refused to denounce this. You supported the violence. Look where you said 1776 here. And now I'm basically on trial for supporting America's founding.
So what they are saying is that you are culpable because you helped organize this event, and they are saying that because perhaps it got out of control, maybe you encouraged that, and they are saying that's what you are culpable for. That's why they want to talk to you. Now, what you're saying is that there's evidence on Twitter and other places where these Twitter trolls, as you call them, reconfigured some of the video to make it look like you were planning something that you were not doing, essentially.
Correct, John. I mean, it's basically a deep fake. What we're seeing is how politics is actually going to take shape in the future. And that's that they're going to take these clips, they're going to manufacture them, they're going to change the timestamps, and they're going to deplatform you so you can't fight back.
Ollie Alexander, organizer of Stop the Steal protests, election protests, and Washington, D.C. Attorney Counsel for Mr. Alexander, Paul Kamenar. Thank you for joining us on One American News.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.